Life is full of highs and lows, mountains and valleys. Even in those seasons when we feel unloved, lost, and forgotten, God's love still remains.
What's up, guys, and welcome to our brand new series, Remain. And during this series, we hit on it a little bit last week during Neon New Year, which was an absolute blast. I hope that you all had so much fun with it. I know we had some fun with it, and man, we had some games, we had a lot of good food, we had that pizza party, come on now. But Neon New Year was so much fun, and we talked about building your life on a foundation that will stand. Building your life on a foundation that will stand, even in the midst of the storms, because, hey, listen, we talked about it. They're going to come. But do you have a firm foundation? What's your focus on? Do you have a firm foundation? We talked about how God's love is that firm foundation that will never fail you. So if you haven't checked that out, hey, I encourage you, go back, check that out. I'm telling you, we had so much fun with it. I had some fun with it, but go check it out. But like I said, this week we're starting Remain. We're going to be talking about how today that our hope can be there because God remains. We can have hope because God remains. God will never change, and because He remains, we can have hope. We're going to dive into that. And today we're going to be talking about hope and the hurting. Hope and the hurting. I'm going to be real. I know that a lot of us right now watching this are hurting. I know we're going through some pain right now. And if we're honest, we've been going through a season of pain and hurt for a while. Man, our community's hurting. We're hurting. We feel so helpless, and if we're being real, we feel so hopeless. But how can I have hope in the hurting? How can I have hope in the hurting? I'm going through so much pain. How can there be hope in a time like now? How can I have hope? I think we need to look at that word hope and look at, where is your hope? What are you putting your hope in? Do you have a worldly hope or do you have a heavenly hope? Do you have a hope of the world that, man, I hope that this happens. I hope this gets better. I hope I get this girlfriend or boyfriend or this job. I hope. And I hope I can make it through this. I hope I can make it another day. I hope I can. But that hope oftentimes gets washed away. That hope oftentimes isn't the firm foundation. Because oftentimes the hope that we talk about is putting hope in the world. Hope that if this happens, then I will. If this, then. If this happens, then this will happen. Man, I hope this happens. What's your hope in? Do you have a worldly hope or a heavenly hope? See, heavenly hope, a biblical hope, looks a bit different. See, a worldly hope is full of uncertainty. It's full of uncertainty that I'm not sure that this is going to happen. I'm not sure if I can make it another day. I'm not sure if this will take place. But man, even if I'm not sure, I sure hope so. It's full of uncertainty that I don't know what's going to happen. I hope this happens. And man, if only this happens, then I'll be okay. And it's full of uncertainty. And look in your life, is that kind of the hope that you have? An uncertain hope, a worldly hope where it's like, man, I don't know. But I hope this. And hear me out, it's not bad to hope for good things. It's not bad to hope for good things. But is that what your life relies on? Is that what really determines if it's going to be good or bad? A hope full of uncertainty. A worldly hope. Or do you have a heavenly hope, a biblical hope that is a confident expectation? A confident expectation. See, a worldly hope is, if this happens, then I will. But a heavenly hope is, even if this does or doesn't happen, then I know that God is still good. I know that God still has a plan. I know that God still has a purpose. And I believe that Jesus has a better life for me. I believe that the best is yet to come. I believe God's word that says that all things work together for the good of those who love him. I believe that hope is so much more than just a wish. I believe that hope is a person and his name is Jesus, and that he will always remain, that he will never change, that he will never leave me, that he will never forsake me. Do you have a worldly hope, or do you have a heavenly hope? Do you have a hope that is full of uncertainty, or do you have a hope that is a confident expectation of what God can and will do in your life? See, Jeremiah 29, verse 11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." Plans not to harm you, but plans to give you hope. Plans to give you hope. Plans to give you a future. See, some of you watching right now don't think that you can make it another day. Some of you watching right now, there's too much hurting in your life for there to be any hope. And you feel so hopeless because you put your hope in things that will wash away. But if you put your hope in Jesus and you believe he is who he says that he is, and that he will always remain, that he will never change, that he will never leave you, he will never forsake you. If you believe his promises, then you know that he has plans for you. Plans for you to give you a better life. Plans to give you hope. To give you a future. He has a plan for you. But so often, we want a quick fix. We want something that will just make us feel better. Something that will make you feel like things are going to be better. Feel like the bad doesn't exist. But I want you to know that God's different than that. I want you to know that, hey, bad things do happen. Bad things happen. But in the midst of the bad, God is still good. Don't lose your hope and become numb. Don't lose your hope and begin to lie to yourself. Don't put your hope in things that will wash away. Don't put your hope in the wrong place. Because whenever you do, they'll fade away and you'll feel hopeless. But Jesus has plans for you. He has a plan for you because all things work together for the good of those who love him. Do you believe it? You have a confident expectation that even in the midst of this trial, even in the midst of your pain, that there is a purpose behind your pain. When you see that God remains, you'll experience that hope, even in the hardest of times. You'll experience the hope in your hurting. You won't try to numb the feelings. You won't try to numb the pain. Because instead of just pain, you see purpose. And instead of just hurting, you see hope. You know that God remains, that his promises are true. I'm sure some of you watching this, man, maybe you've been putting your hope and pouring your hope into so many things that you just feel weak. You just feel tired, you feel broken. Or maybe you're just drained. Life has just completely drained you. Some things have happened and you don't understand why. And you feel hopeless. You're hurting inside. You don't see how there could be something good, and if you're being honest, you're weak. You're weak right now. I want you to know that it's okay to not be okay. But it's not okay to stay that way. It's not okay not to tell someone. It's not okay to remain not okay. Because God has a better life for you. Jesus wants to give you hope. He is hope. He has a future for you. Maybe you're weak. Cry out to him that you can't do it alone. See, so often we treat our life like an Instagram filter. And we switch them up, switch it up, switch it up, switch it up to see which one makes us look best. That we're doing okay, that it'll be all right. And you never address the hurting. And the hurting never heals because you never truly experience the real hope that Jesus has for you. But instead, you put these filters on your life to make it seem like everything's okay and that you're not hurting and that you're not broken and that you're not weak and that you can get through it. But until you look at yourself and you realize and you show other people, and most importantly, you show God that you're broken, that you're weak, that you're hurting, then you won't be able to experience the healing. Because hope is healing. Hope takes away that stress and that anxiety and that worry and those thoughts. Hope is even in the midst of the trials that you know that it will work together. But so often we don't look at ourselves and say, you know what, I'm broken. We don't admit it to people. We don't admit it to ourselves, but we let pride get in the way. Like we can handle it, like we can bear it. But hope can bring healing. But to be healed, you must admit that you're broken. To be healed, you must admit that you're weak. To be healed, you must admit that you're hurting. But hope can bring healing. In Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31, says, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Let's just read that one more time. It says, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. This new year, do you need a renewed strength? Are you weak right now? Are you hurting right now? Are you broken right now? And you need a renewed strength. And maybe you've already been trying to go to other places and other things, and you're trying to receive this hope in the world, but it never fails. That you put your hope in it and then it's gone. You put your hope in it, then it's gone. You put your hope in it and then it's cut away and it's destroyed. You put your hope in it and it never lasts. And you put your hope in so many things of the world. You put your hope in time and time again that you've become hopeless. Do you need a renewed strength? Because right now, just admit it, you're weak. You have questions, you don't understand it, you don't get it, you don't know why things have happened. How do I get this renewed strength? How do I experience this hope? You put your hope in the Lord. You put your hope in the Lord. You have that heavenly hope that is a confident expectation that even if this happens, God still remains. God will never change. And God will work it all together for the good of those who love him. So, what kind of hope do you have? Do you have any at all? What are you putting your hope in? Because I want you to know that during these hard times, during your hurting, God will give you hope. I'm going to ask everyone watching, just go ahead, close your eyes, bow your heads. I don't know everything you're going through. I don't know everything that you've gone through. What I know is bad things happen to good people. Hard times happen for everyone. I know that every single one of us has been through a storm of some kind. And a lot of us are going through a storm right now. We're hurting. We're wondering where to turn. We don't understand it. We don't get it. I want you to know that there's hope in tomorrow because God remains the same. You can have hope right now in Jesus. Your hope can be in Him because He will always remain. I believe there's two kinds of people watching and listening right now that maybe you've given your life to Jesus, but if you're being honest, you feel hopeless. You haven't really put your focus on Him. You've been trying to act like everything's okay when in reality it's not. And you're broken and you're hurting inside. I want to encourage you. Turn it to Jesus. He gives hope to the hurting. He makes the weak strong. He will renew your strength. Put your hope in Him. Surrender all to Him. God, your ways are greater than my ways. God, your thoughts are greater than my thoughts. God, your plans are greater than my plans. Your plans aren't to harm me, to give me hope, and give me a future. If that's you, surrender it to Him. God, you have it all. My relationships, my family, my friends. God, you have me. God, I put my hope in you even whenever I don't understand it, even whenever I don't get it. God, I put my hope in you. But maybe you're watching and you've never given your life to Jesus and you feel so hopeless. Like there's no way that a perfect God can love someone like you. You feel like there's no way that God can forgive you. You feel like there's no way that anyone cares about you. But tonight, God spoke to you. And God has shown you that He remains the same in the good and in the bad, in the happy and in the hurting. That He remains the same. He's shown you that you are loved, that you are cared about, you are chosen. And you're ready to experience this hope. This hope that isn't full of uncertainty, but is full of expectations. That all things work together for the good of those who love Him. And if that's you and you've never given your life to Jesus, and tonight you want to give your life to Him, you're ready to surrender it all. Surrender your life to Him and declare Him as Lord of your life. Put your hope in the Lord. Declare Him Lord of your life. I'm going to ask you to say this prayer with me. to say, God, I'm sorry. I've blown it. I've messed up. I've sinned against you. But Jesus, I believe that you came. I believe that you died. And I believe that you rose again. Please forgive me of my sins. And today, as best as I know how, Jesus, I repent. I turn to you and I declare you as Lord of my life. If that's you, I truly believe that you are saved. I want you to know that I'm so proud of you. I want you to know that God has a plan that is far greater than you can ever imagine. Look to him. He has plans to give you hope and a future. I want you to know, every single person watching, that, hey, times are going to be hard. Bad things are still going to happen. Things are going to change all around, but one thing that will never change is God. Because he will always remain. Because he remains, we can experience this hope in the hurting. We can experience this hope in the hard times. And that this hope in Jesus, it will bring healing. But guys, I love you all. Thank you all so much just for joining in. If you all ever need anything, feel free to text the youth number. We would love to answer any questions that you have or just pray with you. Just let you know that, hey, we're here. Because we know times are tough. But guys, thank you so much for joining in. We love you all, and we'll see you next week.